This is a 2019 number, which is the statistics, or you see the statistics up. 10.57 crore individual registered, which are there for the returns. 6 crore returns filed as of date after the July rush. 4.72 crore verified and 3.90 crore processed. Now again, what I am saying is the speed at which the processing is happening. Out of 6 crore, 4 crore have already been processed and the refunds received or whatever taxes paid. But more interestingly, below number 44, there are 43.5 crore PAN numbers which are there, individuals and HUFs. Returns filed are 6 crore 7 lakhs, and count of tax crore is 8 crore. This is of 2019, and now the count of tax crore is 10.57 crore, as you saw up. I couldn't get the full statistics for the current data. The difference between the PAN numbers there and the I would say the count of returns filed is 37 crore. So not necessarily all the PAN card holders will be having taxable income, we agree. Assuming 80% you give a discount, only 20% we assume that there out of the difference would be PAN card holders having taxable income. That we can take an estimate, at least 20%. How much will be the number of returns to be filed? 20% of 37 crore.
But bulk of the difference is coming from individuals.
Sorry?
Bulk of the difference is coming from individuals.
It is only individuals I'm talking of.
Not many individuals turn up to chartered accountants every single time. They choose to file their own returns, especially because of the ease in filing of the returns and the new generation which is tech savvy. They don't need a chartered accountant every time.
Absolutely right. But only thing what I'm pointing out is, can we as chartered accountants work on those 37 crore, not full 37 crore, channelize. These people are not filing the returns. See, what you're mentioning is part of the 6 crore who are already filing. They may be doing on their own. See, we are 1,40,000 chartered accountants, 7.5 lakh out of 37 crore, 20%, 7.5 crore to be educated, advised to file the returns. Can we do that? That's an opportunity for us. And same thing for partnership firms. Hardly 13 lakh returns filed, companies, AOP, I don't know. Just gives a picture, there's huge opportunity. Only thing you need to educate people and translate the opportunity. This again something similar for GST, though GST audit has gone. And more important is the tax figure. Just look at it. Total indirect tax is 13,30,000 crore estimate for 22-23. Now, I believe this will be grossly underestimated. Now, average tracking Umesh is an expert in indirect tax, 1,40,000 crore monthly. So 1440 and 280, 16, 1720 will be, or maybe at least 16.5 will be that number. And same thing for the direct tax. Direct tax also, the quarterly collections have been stupendously high as compared to previous years. So I think huge potential. Friends, this was the problems which were a survey done in Jaipur in 2019. I was speaking. There's a Jaipur CA group which did a survey of what are the problems. And I think some of you will quote it. If you don't agree, just say, what are the main problems, issues you face in your office? Low level of fees, 53%. How many of us relate here? Low level of fees? At least here also it's more than 50-60%. Realization of fees, Umesh made, from that we'll say 49% said realizing the fees is a challenge, and which was corroborated by the poll which Umesh did. Finding new clients, how much is the challenge here? In Jaipur it was 49%. Here it appears to be less. Hyderabad is growing very well. Free advice. This I think should be 100% yes. So this also in my view is an underestimate, that 48%. See, we may laugh, but this is one thing I think we need to correct. And I am also party to it. I walk with some of my neighbors and they'll suddenly ask me, I am not their advisor. They're chartered with somebody else. Arey Nilesh bhai, is capital gain ka iska kya kare, ye kya kare, wo kya kare. And I would willingly give. Of course, nowadays I don't give. I said I don't know the full facts. Please consult your chartered accountant. If there's any challenge, please bring him along with me and understand your total facts, and then I'll advise. If I give you any advice, it'll be half-baked. So why can't we avoid doing that? If all of us agree, if people, and I have seen, currently as a firm, we are predominantly do corporate practice, but earlier we had a lot of partnership firms and all. And I know many clients, say there are 15 files in the group, 5 with A firm, 5 with B firm, and 5 with C firm. So problem of one particular entity being discussed with 3 chartered accountants. We need to be very clear. If it is the files you are handling, any issue arises, please advise. Otherwise, please very politely tell that I don't have the full facts, please consult the person who's filing these returns. And this again is a typical business this thing. Staff crunch, do we agree? Less or more? Here also it is more or less similar. Data maintenance security, of course, in my view, this is people have not understood. It's not 16%, it's much higher. And I don't know how many of us would agree. Hyderabad again is a tech city. Today, data privacy is very critical, and we also process client data. So you need to be very clear, protect that data. Cyber security is not only, I'll tell you, in large entities now, there's a clear focus. How do you have clearly ring fence so there's no hacking attempts, no attacks on your data? Managing and delegating work, only 16% said. I think this again is wrong. How many of you believe there's a challenge of managing and delegating work? Yeah, it's more. And I think, again, as a character, chartered accountant, we don't know how to delegate. And I'll narrate some incidences later on. How many of you have got a succession plan for your firm, especially the seniors over here? Khimji Kuwarji, who started our firm in 1936, was a student of a firm called Damania Pandey and Bajan. They were auditors of Tata's, Indian Hotels, the Taj Group, so on and so forth. During my lifetime, I saw about, I think, 10 years or 15 years, about 8 to 10 years ago, two senior Parsi partners, they expired in the short span of each other's this thing. Whole firm crumbled. A fantastic firm, our own grandparent firm, if I can tell, just because there was no succession planning. So I would earnestly suggest to all the seniors who are here, even if you, want to encash your practice, you'll need to have a succession plan. Succession not only for the sake of handing over. You have built up a practice brick by brick, file by file, whatever you may call it. But if you want, whenever you want to retire, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the line, unless you build a succession plan, you will not get any value out of a practice. So what are the challenges we are facing in the practice? Which is the 3S, service, satisfaction and success. Clients demanding good service. If we are able to serve them well, no challenge. In the firm, what are we having? Partners want success, or proprietors want success, success by way of their own job satisfaction, increase of practice. And assuming the articles or the CAs whom we employ, they want satisfaction. And what are the challenges we have in the on the economic side? I've broken up the challenges in different areas. Rapidly increasing cost. Do you agree? Hyderabad also the costs are increasing, especially manpower. Competitive environment, we discussed that. Very important thing is client loyalties are no longer safe. How many of you corroborate with this fact? See, earlier we used to say a person used to be with a CA 25 years, 50 years, but now the next generation which is coming, the kids they are not bothered with the loyalty of the relation. They say they want value, they want good service. So again, this is an indication. You need to have, just because you have got attached to a client for 25, doesn't mean you will continue unless you're giving good service. Retaining clients who are growing big is a challenge. Do we agree all of this? Suppose your client is becoming big. All of us face this challenge. So what does that indicate? You also need to grow your practice. Suppose you are a sole proprietor, become a partnership. The way the client will expand, you will need to expand yourself. Or need to sort of increase yourself to give this. Otherwise, say suppose I am a small company and I become 500 crore, 1000 crore. Or if I am the person of the CS, a sole proprietor, he'll feel, tomorrow if something happens to the sole proprietor, he is not well, who's going to serve me? So we are pushing the growing clients to go out. Don't blame anybody else, blame yourself. If client is growing, you need to grow. If you don't grow, client will go out of you sooner rather than later. We discussed this, traditional areas appearing overcrowded. The cost of executing assurance functions is going up. Of course, I don't know how many of you, as I told you, you need to follow standard of auditing, the documentation, just the compliance is huge now. All companies act compliance, tax audit compliance, the standards of auditing, accounting standards, Ind AS, so on and so forth. It is, just huge. Another thing which I want to, what is the major economic challenge which we face? Do we all agree that a client comes to us, I think in Bombay, the way the slang is, sir, aapka thappa chahiye. This again, I'm talking of not talking of corporate clients. I don't know what they call it in Hyderabad, but in Bombay, they'll come and say, sir, aapka thappa chahiye. Same year? So why do we agree to that nonsense? See, do we, see, first of all, realize the value of our signature? Ours is the second, most important signature of our country. What you sign in Hyderabad will be accepted in Kandla or Calcutta or Kashmir or in Kanyakumari. And the client will come and tell whatever nonsense he wants to tell, but because we ourselves are not valuing our own signatures. And we don't project, we need to project, we don't talk. We need to create the importance of the clients. With this signature, he can, with the certificate, raise bank finance, he can do so many things. Is accepted in customs, export, this, that. But we ourselves have undermined our values. I'm very clear, So we need to keep on, and all of us need to do it. It's not only one person. Unless we start pushing back clients who are, insolent, who speak very, cheaply about our signatures. In a very polite manner, but firm manner, you need to give back. And if more and more people do it, automatically message will come across to the business community. Sorry? Whatever it may be. Yeah, they can do it with anybody else. Why do they come to us? If they come to us, we need to know because we are available so cheap, that's why they're coming to us. If they're not going to other places, it's much more costlier. Another thing, again, from a projection perspective, say you're a sole proprietor, you're rendering all the services to the client, including, say, tax services. What do you do in tax? How do you project yourself to the client for the tax services? Just because that you're filing the returns and that all, verifying the TDS? What you have to communicate is, by what you're doing and doing things properly, is the amount of care you're taking, the penalties, the late filing fees, this, that, etc. All that projection is, we don't project that. And I'll say, I'm very clear that we as started on don't know how to bill our clients. Our billing skills are zero. We are not taught during articleship, and I'll speak a little bit more about that. And that's the reason, please, I've made this vicious circle about this chart 20 years back. The way I have seen it, and you would agree or disagree with me, low fees, we charge low fees, lower remuneration to staff, we have inadequate staff, inadequate infrastructure, low income to self. This pushes us to increase our billing. We accept a lot of more volume of work at low fees, resulting in no time for capacity building, upgradation, housekeeping, low quality of service, low fees. Do you agree with this chakra view which is there? Are we in this chakra view? So we need to, if we have to come out of this, we'll have to break through this chakra view, right? So we'll discuss how to break that out. Regulatory, lot of changes happening, number of deduction exemptions, taxation becoming more simple, all of us agree. Earlier, the complications, our need was more. Now as my friend said, the software people, they're filing their own returns. And it's going to happen. We discuss about the regulatory action. Here I will want to talk about the district committee. NFRA, you'll say, Mereko to matlab nahi, it's only for listed company. Majority are doing non-listed here. Friends, do you know the institute disciplinary mechanism, 90% of the cases, what are the type of cases? Two partners fight in a partnership firm, and they would have done something wrong. The partners know what wrong is there in their own accounts. They'll file a complaint against the chartered accountant. In their personal fight, the scapegoat is the CA, the auditor. In a club, the different warring groups fight, the complaint goes against the chartered accountant. In a cooperative society, I don't know whether Hyderabad has societies or not, two warring groups fight, complaint against the chartered accountant. And they will withdraw, they will settle their fights outside, they will try to withdraw, but once a complaint goes to the institute, it's not withdrawn. It will continue. And in that, lot of other things that the issue with the partners have raised is not only seen, how the accounts have been prepared, are there any mistakes, all those things are seen. So please be careful, it's not only NFRA, there's peer review. Now there's another body called Financial Reporting Review Board, which is speaking about, earlier it was only looking at listed companies. Now listed companies are being done by NFRA, so this had started to look at private companies. Again, initially started with large private companies. I just saw the statement of our Honorable Vice President some time back that we are going to use AI to find mistakes in the published accounts. You understand what's going to happen? The limitation which was there of human, review is gone out with AI. So Institute is going to use AI to look at the accounts and find mistakes. And if there are gross mistakes, it will be referred to the district committee. So So you cannot do things carelessly. I've seen many of the accounts which we see, they are being carelessly, drawn up. Not changed with the times, the new regulations, so that you need to, be careful about. GST, of course, was a huge, I would say, game changer for the profession in two respects. The practice which was there with the advocates, with the sales tax professionals, VAT professionals shifted to the, but unfortunately, I think we got caught. Though the volume of practice went up, the effectiveness, the per man hour or the fee levels were very low. We got caught in a situation which was, of course, not anticipated. The way the technology changed, challenges, the changes which kept on happening in GST. And I'm told, I don't practice GST, but the feedback I get is the revenue is not commensurate to the time which you spend or the headache which we have, the timelines, the continuous timelines which are there. Technological changes, what are we facing? Constant updates in the technical front, in the sense we discussed GST, Companies Act, audit, every day there are changes. We cannot be status quo. Another major challenge, friends, is technology. The seniors, will agree, there was at one time where we used to be very happy when Tally was not there. We used to write books of accounts by hand, and we used to get a kick on, tallying. The kids never used to be able to tally the trial balance. That's why I'm coming to the delegation point which I mentioned earlier. The delegation we don't do, we get a kick of doing things, so we can delegate those work. But now what is going to happen with coming back to the automation? Currently, a lot of your people do data entry on Tally, etc. Wherever you're doing an accounting job, this whole accounting job will be done now by bots, which is, robots. They have so much intelligence that assuming it's a, payment to an electricity board of yours, say, I don't know, telling an electricity board, it will directly debit electricity expense. So the information will come online, there's a lot of information online, and all the accounting will be done. So the maker will go, only checker will remain. To ensure electricity expense, if it is a deposit, it has to be shifted to deposit. So the checker role will still be, could be human, but the 99% of the routine data entry job will be done by machines. I'm on the board of a large travel company, as was mentioned, and there was huge pending bank reconciliation. We started, I pushed them, I brought it to the audit committee that you have to, focus on this. You cannot do business by reconcile pending for 6 months or more. And they had challenge of people. So they started using bots now for reconciliation. 70% reconciliation matching happening by bots. Earlier 100% done by human, now 70%, only 30% human involvement there. And this is going to, sort of increase, and especially for youngsters over there, here. If you feel, I think this is a huge opportunity. How do we harness technology for the roles which are doing? Accounting, auditing, tax, whether it's bots or whatever. Maybe initially the cost will be high of the bots, 4-5 lakhs or whatever. But it's a huge, you'll have a first mover advantage. People like us will not be able to change. The seniors over here, including me, we are busy in our day-to-day thing. We already got, practice lined up. But you have an opportunity, you've got an advantage. If you are going to harness technology into accounting, finance, tax, I think you'll have the advantage. So please focus thereon. Another thing which is slightly later in the day is blockchain. Those who are interested, another 5 to 10 years, what we saw internet and email 20 years back, and now without emails we cannot survive. Blockchain is going to do the same thing. So those youngsters are still interested how to use blockchain in our day-to-day practice. Do we agree that the technology is making the clients more dependent? You mentioned that they are doing themselves the returns. Not only returns, everything else. Most of the filings are doing on their own. Not only the software engineers, even the firms, a lot of things are doing on their own. I'll not get into these. What is the human capital challenges which we have? Do you have attrition rates here also? Huge attrition? Or you got good loyal staff remaining with you? How many of you have got, don't face the problem of attrition? All of us are facing huge attrition, so which is, going to be there. And we'll discuss that. See, today, I think few years back, people are grumbling that I'm not getting BComs, I'm not getting this. Now today, why should they come in a place like Mumbai, Hyderabad? There are superb KPO, BPOs and all available. Fantastic office, fantastic cafeterias. Why will they come to a mundane chartered office with, piles heaped up, this, that, lack of interesting job? So we'll have to compete. So we can keep on grumbling. We'll have to pay them the, incentivize them. We'll have to make them interested in what type of their knowledge enhancement is happening. All those, today practice is not only doing the work, practice is also your HR practice. For example, yesterday we had an event for the first time in our firm in the 85-year-old history of just a meet and greet of our employees. We have kept a separate program for trainees, that is after 15 days we'll have. We do lot of employee engagement. We do KKC Premier League cricket tournaments just so that there's bonding. There is, we go out for picnics. We go out for all that will be done. You'll say, मेरे को तो काम से ही मतलब है, ऐसा होने वाला नहीं है. If you want to run a very successful practice, employee engagement is a key thing. What we talk on the larger firms, you'll have to do that. Only then you're, again I share my own firm's example. If you ask me 15 years back, if say 10 people joined us, say 10 chartered accountants in a year, hardly, people more than 3 years would be 2-3 out of them, people more than 5 years would be 1, and people more than 7 years staying with us from that particular pyramid would be 0. 3, 5, maximum 7 years. And most of them going out in 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 7 year, as it goes. Today it has changed and I'm very happy, The reason is because the engagement is more with the people. So one is money. People are, but at the same time, how you deal with people, you cannot be rude, how you deal with people is very important. And you need to learn that, how to, if you want to have loyalty, you need to do that. We discussed about inadequate training and practical experience. I think Umesh mentioned this point, is so many people said they don't have hardly, not even once in a year meeting. Same thing happened to me when I started my articleship. I was just put in the deep sea. I was supposed to, in my second year, I was sent for a audit finalization from Mumbai to a place in Himachal Pradesh, a remote place in Himachal Pradesh. Without training, without background, what to do? But today is not, clients are watchful and even the kids are watchful. You say, I'm not getting article trainees. The word of mouth is so huge, so stupendous, how your firm is, what type of training you're having. So unless you're going to do this training effectively, you're going to have employee engagement, then you will not have challenge. But if you, they will keep on coming. Their information is superb. During our times, there was no information available. Today, the information is available across the board and exactly the youngsters know what is happening in your firm more than what we know. So you will have to, look at training in a very, this thing. So that once in a year will not do. You'll have to have weekly, you may have to do monthly depending on what is there. Relationship are stressed, high expectation salary, fresh chartered accountants. I don't know in Hyderabad, in Bombay, they are expecting nothing less than 8 to 10 lakhs. Hyderabad, what is the figure here? Yeah, so another challenge which I saw in most of the CAs which we are recruiting, there's lack of managerial skills, and I think that we need to train them. There's lack of patience. There's preference for more routine and mechanical work. Not in my firm, of course, but I'm saying general, this is in the CA practice. In my firm, people are raring to go to take challenges, again, thanks to the environment. And another challenge on the people front is even if the client plays, the level of their staff has gone down. Do we agree with that? Earlier, there used to be more dependable people, more experienced people at the client place, so our headache was less. Now with that going on, our time involvement has gone up. And I think we'll need to learn to be less dependent on articles, more on qualified professional or maybe BComs graduates, etc. Another, thing is our personal challenges. Do we agree that we are very docile in nature, generally as a profession? So we accept all insolence of clients, delays. We saw substantial part is, outstanding 50 to 75%. Fees outstanding for more than 6 months, etc. Why should a client do that? And again, I'll see, we are spoiling the clients. And I again give my own firm example. I don't relate it. Earlier, we never used to bother to recover our fees. I'm saying 15, 20 years back. People used to pay whenever they wanted to pay. We never used to follow up. The moment TDS came, moment GST came and all the added reconciliation headaches, etc., we said nothing doing. We kept a person. We started following up. The moment a bill goes, within 15 days, the first reminder goes. After 1 week, if it doesn't come, after the end of 21 days, the partner or the director or the manager in charge is sent a reminder. So today, I would say majority of firm fees, we recover in a period of 30 to 45 days. Majority. We shifted to an accrual system of accounting again to reduce the headache of the reconciliations somewhere in 2018. Friends, any guess how much was the, what Umesh mentioned, was the percentage that fees outstanding on 31st March in that year? Any wild guess? After total billing for the year, how much was outstanding on 31st March of 2018? How much? 2%. Outstanding fees. Why? Because we said we don't want to pay, service tax that time. Now GST after our own pocket. Why should the client be delaying the payment of fees? There's no reason at all. It's just our follow-up is not done. Just put a person. You need not politely email reminders person who's doing the work. It has to happen. And clients will pay. Clients don't have. It's only our own negligence, which is not, that chart which you mentioned is your own negligence. Nothing to do with the client. Nothing to do with the client. Just, and we are changing. I am giving one example. We never used to get fees recovered for years, some clients, and now it is 2%, and currently it is 7 to 8%. One of our real estate client is a liquidity problem, so that has added 5% to the outstanding. The practice has grown, but that is so that is one, and we are allowing that to happen consciously, not that it's out of the radar, because the client is good. So we don't want to lose the client. That's why we are allowing him to pay. That is the only client which is paying us after 8-9 months or whatever. Only one real estate group. Other than that, 99% of the fees we recover in 30 to 45 days. And nobody is bothered. And the clients are happily paying. And practice is increasing and not a declining practice. Sorry?
Register in MSME, put on the invoice,
100%. How many of you are not registered in NFC? I ulta. Please register. That will be putting a fear on them, the interest and all the other. We did that also. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Thanks for pointing out Pankaj bhai. And have a mechanism. Aap mat karo, keep a person to follow up. Automatically you will get. See, you rendered this service, you invested, money in that. We discussed about communication skills. We have agreed to increase volume at any cost. I'll, discuss about this slightly later. Time management. How many of you charge the same fees? Suppose a client has come to you, a regular client is there for returns and all, and somebody comes, 31st July was there, a new client comes to you on, say, 27th of July. Same level of fee or different level of fees? Higher fees? Good. Earlier, many places I'm saying it is same fees. Rather than saying 5-10,000 to a client, I'll charge the same thing. If you are going to burn the midnight oil, if somebody is coming the last month, you have to charge a huge premium. See, it is your time. You are burning the midnight oil at that point of time. So we have to have, of course, many seniors didn't agree with me when I said they should have different manner rates, charging rates for peak and non-peak. But I am very clear we should have different rates for peak and non-peak times. We discussed about this free advice we give to clients. How many of you document whatever work you are doing for the client? Suppose he is telephoned you for a advice, do you note it down? How many of you have got a billing which says income tax fees for the year end is so and so? Just one line bill. How many of you have one line bill? Most? And in that, see, if you are not going to project the work you are doing to the client, what does that income tax mean? You are preparing the return, you are reviewing the TDS thing whenever it comes to, you are giving advice, you are looking at the estimates maybe 3 or 4 times a year. And plus all the other things which you are doing, maybe if you are doing scrutiny or assessment, this or whatever. So why don't you mention that, assuming free advice, suppose something that's called up. If we are not going to project what work you are doing to the client, who's going to pay you? You need to document that. Please write, please take the effort of documenting what you are doing. Maybe, so start jotting, capturing and then document. It may take some time, but do that. What is happening now, what I have been observing, friends, earlier the practice was more on experience and knowledge, and now it is shifting to more of branding, size, organization. As I told you, white hair, wisdom has got use, but thanks to technology, it is getting even now. The youngsters have got advantage of technology, the seniors have got advantage of so that is getting evened out. So the whole name of the game, whatever information you want is available at the click of a button on Google. Earlier, suppose I used to recite, okay, some matter is there, okay, this case law was there. Now nobody needs to remember, Google karte hain, on this matter, the information, knowledge is available at the click of a button. So how is the game changing? If you want to grow, you will have to be branding yourself. You need to be, sizing yourself right, organizing, and these are the skills. Like a corporate, where more or less everybody is on the same page, knowledge-wise, information-wise. So these will be the differentiators as you grow ahead. So practice management strategies, first is self-evaluation, the right sizing, clientele, positioning, fees, and we will discuss about these. This is for the youngsters, not for the elders over here. What you need to evaluate is, assuming you're getting into practice or you're already into practice, do I have the requisite practical experience? Say you've done an articleship in, say, doing only income tax, and now you're starting a practice where you need to do GS, you need to do audit, you need to, are you fully equipped or not? Am I technically sound? In the sense, are you, academically keep on updating yourself? What is my nature? Each person has got his nature. Do I have employee comfort? Do I want, I don't want to take risk of a practice. I am happy with a steady income, then possibly a job would be better for you. What are my financial objective? Do you want to sacrifice for the short term? Do I have clarity where I want to be and have work-life balance? Ultimately where you want to be, work-life practice has got its own challenges as you start growing. All these questions you need to answer. So there are different options available if you want to be in practice, youngsters specifically. First is, if you don't have adequate experience in different areas, you can work in a firm for some time and then set up a practice. You may become a CA, but gain different experiences and then set up your practice. You can join an existing firm and grow into the partnership. Many times, there's no need just for your sake of ego that I'll be a practicing member. You can become part of a firm and grow depending on the firms which are there. As I told you, I've already advised the seniors that they should have succession planning. And hopefully there will be. So you grow into a senior firm and take over the practice later on. Be a retainer and have your own small practice as well. Be a retainer with a large firm and specialize in an area and grow to establish specialized firm. So you could specialize in GST, you could specialize in international tax, forensic, or whatever else. So different options available. So you could be a retail store doing everything, small salary returns, GST filings, tax audits, company audits, etc. Or you could be a polyclinic, a lot of specialists coming together. One person, a GST expert, one person in international tax, one person audit. So the way a polyclinic is run, you could become a polyclinic with your friends who are in different areas. Or you could be a boutique, in the sense again, say you decide to specialize in GST or international tax, so you could be a boutique of that area. This is the advantage of large firms. I don't know. This is what IFAC has come out with for small and medium firms. So what are the various steps for a successful small and medium practice? One is planning for the firm. Second is practice model associated with the network. So there are different practice models. As if there are no straight jacket. You saw you can be a boutique, you can be a retail store, you could be a polyclinic. Building and growing the firm, developing people strategy. People is most important. I am re-emphasizing that. How you deal with your people is going to make you grow. Leveraging technology, again, a very important facet in today's time. Client relationship management, risk management, succession planning. Friends, risk management is very, very important. We say in corporates, a buzzword, risk management. In practice also, if you're doing audits, are you mitigating your risk? How many of you have got professional indemnity insurance? Just few hands. All of you are in practice here? Any harm in taking a professional? How many of you don't have medical insurance? Mediclaim किसके पास नहीं है? You don't have mediclaim. No. For the personally only. All of us have got personal mediclaim. Why not have professional indemnity for the firm? कभी कुछ गलती, and I'm telling you, it is so insignificant cost. The premium insurer has tied up with New India Assurance, a public sector company. There's an 80% discount to the card rate. Few thousand rupees, a crore rupees worth of professional insurance is few thousand rupees. Maybe one dinner cost for you to going to a very fancy restaurant. So just will buy you mental peace. So please take out professional indemnity insurance. That is when this risk management, I saw it just struck me. And succession planning we already discussed. I will not see, these are different quadrants of clients. Quadrant 1 is consulting, quadrant 2 which is the best one, quadrant 2 is audit services, quadrant 3 is routine, and quadrant 4 is clients which you need to give up. We'll discuss that. Again, I will not discuss this. You can see it later. I think I'll request the branch to share the presentation. We've got efficiency based practice, experience based practice, and expertise based practice. So right hand side is the premium one, and efficiency based practice is volume based practice. volume-based tax return filing, volume-based GST returns. So you need to move from efficiency-based to expertise-based. So many of the youngsters have a challenge how to acquire clients, right? So this is where it is. Pick up a subject which you are an expert in, which you are training, you have done well, and then you're doing some work in that area. And start speaking public forums. You can speak in the branch, you can speak in study circles, you can speak in industry forums, GST, and there are always changes happening, Companies Act, international tax, whatever you want, whatever you are working on. Anyway, you are spending time to do research thereon. Speak in the public forum. If you do good work, word of mouth, it spreads. Believe me, but good service is important. How many of you are on social media, LinkedIn? Do you post technical stuff thereon? How many of you post technical stuff thereon? Only one or two. So this is the new, age. Again, from an institute perspective, the firm cannot post on the social media. Daya and Umesh, please correct me if I'm wrong. I'll stand corrected if some changes have happened recently. As an individual, you can showcase your knowledge. Say you are an expert in GST. Just 3-4, any change happened, 4-5 lines, just post it. You're an expert on international tax, some new development has come, just post. So then people start recognizing and do it on a consistent, not one-off. The one-off, nobody will bother about it. But if you do it consistently, people will start recognizing. For example, Umesh today is a name. I didn't know him earlier before he joined the regional council, but I always knew him as a fantastic indirect tax professional. Thanks to social media, he used to make so much postings, etc. before he joined the regional council or central council. So this is how you need to create awareness about yourself. So I knew in case maybe I had some work in Aurang for indirect taxes, I would have referred, without my this thing, I would have referred to Umesh Sharma. Because I don't know anybody else in Aurangabad who's doing the same efforts. So it requires effort, so you need to do that. So social media is important, study circles discussed. Domestic and global networking issue has allowed domestic. How many of you are part of a domestic network? You can become partners. One I'm seeing, but Gach is there. But you can be part of a. Why don't you create domestic networks? See, now GST, the way it is, assuming you've got a client in Hyderabad which is spread, in many other states, why don't you tie up with other, firms in Bangalore, in Chennai, or in Calcutta, Mumbai, Delhi, wherever they are. So do domestic networking. Guidelines are already there. Institute this thing, it will be good. And global networking, institute is working on the guidelines. Once it comes, you can look at that. Business development initiative we need to do within the norms of the Institute Code of Ethics. Empanelment. So these are different ways in which you can increase it, and all will take efforts. See, I have seen in my practice of 37 years, friends, you have to be persistent. You don't know when the tipping point will come in the practice. You will say, I have done for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, nothing is happening. But you will. I was just discussing with some of my friends here. We were always as a firm very good in banks and NBFCs as audits and all. Last year the RBI changed the norm that I mentioned on auditor cannot do consulting whether directly or indirectly. And that opened up a flood of opportunities. And we are at the top end of this area now. We are doing smaller banks, smaller NBFCs. The moment the opportunity came after 20 years, 30 years, we don't know. We are happy with that earlier practice. It's not that we are not happy. But it gave us an opportunity. When the timing came, we are now there, and without any marketing, without anything. Just because we are there in that space, we are doing things correctly, nicely. We are at the top end of the practice in that area. So you'll have to be persistent. You'll have to do well and showcase it. On the client, this thing, I'll come to the next level now. I think very important that you look at your client profile also. So initially when you start the practice, again the youngsters, you may do all type of clients, you cannot be choosy, you have to pick up everything. As you start growing, as the firm starts growing, you need to identify those clients which have the potential to add value of the firm, or those you need to weed out, and I'll tell you the reason thereof. So you need to know your client, you need to know the client needs and exceed their expectations, because that is only word of mouth this thing will spread. So as they call, under promise and over perform, and your word of mouth, your publicity will be happening. What is value to your clients? What value are you giving them compliance support? Are you giving them cost optimization? Are you giving them some advisory thing? Decide that. And decide who's your ideal client. How many of you have said no to a client who's coming in? Quite a few hands, I'm saying that's good. Take time, just tell no to some client and see the amount of confidence it gives you. Those who are not till now, said no to client. Just do it once and see how much confidence gives you. I'm not saying all clients. Tap the startup, Hyderabad is a startup base. And I have classified clients in 3 categories: quality, rubber and fair, moderate and practical. Third is a miser. And the third type of clients can be described by the definition of cynic given by Oscar Wilde. What is a cynic? A man who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. वो किचकिच का क्लाइंट होता है, टिपिकल बिजनेसमैन किचकिच करता है, आपने ये नहीं किया, वो नहीं किया, ये लेट हो गया, always grumbling, always. All of us have got this type of clients. So after some years, in starting of the practice, you may have these grumbling clients. For the first 5 years, 10 years, you decide. After the 10th year, you need to weed out this, what I call as C category clients, the grumbling clients, kichkiya, low fees and keeping, they take the maximum time. So, all of you are aware of the Pareto principle, 80-20. 80% of the events activities in life contribute to 20% of the results, and 20% of the events activities contribute to 80% of the results. Hence, successful people concentrate on the important few and pay less attention to trivial. And how is it relevant to the client and the fee point we are discussing? If you do an analysis of your practice, 20% of clients will be giving you 80% of the fees. 80% number of clients giving you 20% of the fees. So again, I'm telling you, after 10 years, 15 years, whichever type of practice you are, please cut down on the 80% of the clients giving you 20% fees. If not full, whatever, start weeding out of them. It will free a lot of space for you because they're taking 80% of your time and just contributing 20%. Once you reach a certain level, I'm not saying for the starters, beginners, but 5 years, 10 years down the line. Again, further breakup, fees per client, good, moderate, poor, quality of client, progressive and good housekeeping, potential growth. Startup may give you low fees, but there's a potential of growth. Another thing which I've seen in our, most of the practicing people is, we keep on adding clients. This will add to my profile value. Profile mein iska naam aayega to. So 1 or 2 clients can be profile value. Not everybody can be a profile value for you. That also please understand. So those who are already seniors in the practice, I would seriously suggest cut down the C category, see the amount of, and again, friends, believe me, we started doing this in 1989. We were at that time a laughing stock in Mumbai. How can you give up clients? Of course, we did it in a very nice manner. We didn't give a shock to our clients. We told them that some of our existing members from the office are starting their practice, they can go with them. Or some of the clients moved out to the retail. We said we are available 24/7 for any critical matter. So what we did, we cut down ourselves from the routine, the compliance, the returns, filing, this, that. But today also many of the clients come back if they've got a family settlement, dispute, this, that, etc. Any critical work comes back to us, and which is of interest to us, but not the routine return filing or whatever, which anyway is getting reduced. So handle it nicely. Those who are already substantially successful in practice, please cut down and give it to them to your juniors. Handle it nicely, psychologically with clients, because otherwise the word will spread that Nilesh, suppose I'm in Hyderabad, Nilesh to bahut bada aadmi ban gaya hai. We don't want to do that, but they need to understand. How many of you are, I think hardly very few of them are documenting what time you're spending on the client, right? Telephone calls or audit में कितना time लग रहा है, tax में जो काम कर रहे हो उसमें कितना time लग रहा है. Please document that. You'll realize that the amount of time you're spending and the amount of fees you're collecting, the per hour fees are less than an electrician or plumber who's charging in Hyderabad. I may sound insulting, but there's a hard fact. Our charge out rate would be less than an electrician or a plumber in Hyderabad. The moment you say you're charging, say, X amount of fees, 50,000, you just divide by number of hours and see what it is coming to. So forget that. Please start documenting what time you're spending for each client on various matters. And based on that, see, how many working days we have in a year? We have decided this is 21 days. You can make 24 days in a month or whatever you want. Some chart, if you want to decide what should be your man-hour rate. Assuming today you are charging, it is coming to say 150 rupees a man-hour. Just giving an example. And you have to go to 1,000 rupees, 1,500 rupees, 2,500 rupees a man-hour, 10,000 rupees a man-hour, depending on your specialization. Please decide that. The moment you are aware, you start growing towards that. This is the time spent. I need to cut down time. I need to increase my fees order. But that awareness is important. We discuss about breakup of all services rendered. The bill has to be exhaustive. I've seen advocate bills running into 3 to 4 pages. Hearing on so-and-so date, adjourn, whatever. Next date, again, hearing on so adjourn. 3 to 4 pages, apart from whatever, looking at the draft, considering. If we are not going to showcase, we are not going to require any fees. How many of you raise the bills immediately as soon as the work is over? Almost all? Again, a practice which I saw in my olden days, we were never bothered about billing or recovery, as I mentioned. So suppose today I have won a very important income tax appeal, saving say crores of rupees to the client. My billing used to happen after 6 months, 1 year, whenever I get time. And what happens is there's a psychological value. Suppose today you have won an appeal, client is in a very happy mood. You have saved a few crores rupees of tax to him because of your efforts. If you raise the bill immediately, your payment will be immediate. You raise it after 6 months, itna sara bill hoga. The value has gone out. The moment there's a delay of raising the bill, the value has gone out from the client's mind because he's busy, his mind has gone into a lot of other things. So it's very important, any unusual or new work you do, please raise the bill immediately. We discussed about outstanding bills. I will not add that. You need to have a process to follow up. कोई उसमें शर्म मत रखना. And you'll see, I think, this, ये तो एक चीज मैं आपको सबको बोलूँगा, please do it immediately. Put a person on the job for collection and you'll see a fee recovery. जो भी आपने देखा उमेश के चार्ट में वो बंद हो जाएगा. और उसमें क्लाइंट को कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. Try and provide value addition to clients. A satisfied client will honor your bills with pleasure. Now, what is a value addition which you do in audit and in tax? Can somebody just suggest to me? मैं plain audit कर रहा हूँ, company audit कर रहा हूँ, tax audit कर रहा हूँ. What is the value addition you can do there? You're doing your audit. So you're charging whatever fee, 10,000, 1 lakh, 5 lakh, 10 lakh, whatever fees you're charging. You're certifying the true and fair view, you're certifying the tax audit, you're certifying the company audit report. What is the value add you can give there? Any ideas? Yeah, please.
In corporate audits, what we do is we give them the weaknesses that we have identified, the system failures, or system control weaknesses that we have seen. We expect them to rectify it over a period of time.
Do you do it orally? How do you do it?
No, we send out a management letter which communicates to them that these are.
Who else is doing this apart from my young friend there? Couple of them. Okay. Now, majority of you discuss your client one-to-one, assuming you're doing the audit. You've had some findings, you're not impacting the true and fair view. Do you have a one-to-one sitting with the client saying that, ye humne dekha hai, isko theek karna? Do you orally talk to them, if not in writing? How many of you talk to them orally? So many people are doing and writing only a couple of them. Just convert that oral into a document. Of course, उसमें जो चीज़ record पे नहीं लिख सकते वो मत लिखना. 2 नंबरी काम मत लिखना. मेहरबानी करके. That will create trouble for you and for the client both. But whatever, see, whether it's a control weakness, whether it's a cost optimization, whether revenue leakage, whatever comes to mind, I'm sure as an auditor you are coming across, please document that and see the difference. And I'll personally share an example. We were auditors of a very large broking house back in Mumbai. I can name the name also. You have heard of Inam Securities and Inam, Financials. So we used to get the management letter. The audit was over. One day, there was another group of companies in the group which was investment and trading companies, with the same promoters, different set of companies. So the person who was handling that came to us, and that was plain simple, share trading or investment companies. उसमें क्या advice देंगे, क्या देंगे? So the gentleman who was managing that came to us. Nilesh bhai, what you give in that, Inam, why don't you give it to us? That value. That is the impact of that's a value addition. You may be doing it orally, but just document it. Just put down pointers and send it the way our friend is doing here, email. And it'll see the impact which is happening. As far as possible, be firm with your billing. Do not settle for lower amount. Always haggling hota hai. Though, we need to avoid this. Are you aware that the insurance got a recommended scale of fees? How many of you are aware that insurance got a... How many of you are following it? Do you feel it is very high? The rates there are very high compared to what is prevalent in Hyderabad? Can I suggest you something else? Okay, those are high. Hyderabad also is a huge city now. There are different suburbs, areas. People who are practicing in the suburb, can you come together and decide whatever you want? Suppose instead of saying 100, you make it 50. Or whatever you feel is the Hyderabad level. But can you come to an understanding and see to it that within that particular area, the same fees are charged? Because you go to a vegetable market, do you find different rates in a particular market? Different hawkers, same stuff being sold over there. If the uneducated vegetable vendors, if they can have a common fees, or a very educated doctors, by and large I'm seeing the fees, whether dentist or an eye surgeon or whatever, they got similar. Why not for chartered accountants? You decide what you want. I'm not going to tell you whether institute fees is right. Institute has given a lot of thought in that scale. But why don't you come together and start small? It will happen out of, say, 100 people practicing in the area. Initially only 50 will come. A client comes to you, and I tell you what happened. This, as I told you, I started working on this in 96, was my first presentation. That time, ICA recommend fees was not there. In Bombay, there's an association called the CVO-CA Association. They had come out with this recommended scale of fee, which I used that and shared it in my first presentation in the Chembur CA Studies Circle, where I was a member. After 3 months, one senior member, H.C. Gupta, he was a past regional council member. I asked him, sir, वो कैसे रहा मेरा presentation? अरे नीलेश तेरा वो बहुत काम आ गया. सर कैसे किया आपने? वो तूने वो जो लिस्ट दी थी वो मैंने मेरे टेबल के नीचे रखी, कांच के टेबल के नीचे. कोई भी क्लाइंट आता था और फीस के बारे में हैगल करता था, मैं उसको दिखाता था. ये हमारे एसोसिएशन का धोरण है. It's how you communicate, complete psychology. They are not going to check out what's happening. Just showcase. And this I'm saying 25 years back, it was successful in a small, suburb of Mumbai, in Chembur, in the local area. I'm sure in Hyderabad. So my request, formally, informally, not formally, informally, you please come together and decide whatever you want. I'm not on that, but let it be similar. This again, you may, I'm not going to spend time. My God, we are running against time. Another thing is, we discussed about a lot of things on money part, but service first attitude. People with money first attitude become so money conscious that they forget money cannot be harvested unless they plant the seeds that grow the money. And the seed of money is service. That is why put service first is an attitude which creates wealth. Put service first and the money takes care of it. And I'll just give you one example. I remember the year 1999. In the introduction, I don't know whether you heard properly, it was mentioned that I joined the board of a company called All Cargo Logistics, a very large logistics company recently. Sashi Shetty is the owner, and we didn't have any relationship with earlier. He called me, Nilesh, I want you to have a look at the ERP in the there are some transport companies. They had set up an ERP. Initially, they wanted to help us in setting up the ERP, which for whatever reason they didn't appoint us. But after the ERP was set up, it was not giving the desired results. He said, I want to look at the ERP and tell us what are the problems, what are the bottlenecks, and how do we come to the desired result. And this is again a transport company where you know how the transport companies function with the drivers and all the use of foul language. This gentleman is a visionary in that sense, Mr. Shetty. So we started doing, for us it was the first time in our life as a firm's existence that we were reviewing an ERP. So we estimated that we'll take 4 months time, and we, that time 1999, we said we'll charge you 4 lakh fees. We took 25% advance. That was accepted, work started. We are nearing 4 months, and my team came back. I was also involved. Nilesh bhai, apna to yahan pe, matlab, we are not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Kitna aur time jayega? Should we, stop the assignment? Should we ask for increase of fees? Nothing doing. We have given a quote. We are done. First, let's complete the work. Then we'll discuss. So this 4 months became 8 months. After 8 months, we finished our job. We gave a presentation to the manager. They were very happy. After the presentation was over, I went to Mr. Shetty's cabin. I said, sir, we had agreed for 4 lakhs, but we are expecting the assignment to get over in 4 months. But it took us 8 months, and they were watching us. They were watching us toil. We were doing the work. It was not, just. So I don't want you to charge 8 lakh rupees, but I just want to charge 5.5 lakh rupees to recover my cost. I don't want to make any profit out of this. Not even a second. So that is service first. When you've taken up an assignment, then don't crib about it. You may have gone wrong on your estimation. Of course, try to be as, and for us it was a new thing. I'm just finding an excuse that naya tha, pata nahi tha, how much time still will be required. So that is important. Presentations are very important, where, and it makes a huge difference. Let me tell you. And to the extent in my own office, you may say I am a past president, but in many of the presentations we have made recently where we succeeded has not been made by me or by Kamlesh bhai. You can understand. Some people who are good in presentation need to do the presentation. Presentation have to be good. Value addition to client, we discussed that management letter, even tax we can do that. Necessary evil we need to remove. For young members, you need to have some patience because practice takes its time. As I told you, when you keep on persisting, when the tipping point will come, you will not know. 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. Plus revenue leakage. I hope you don't have revenue. In my old office, we had used revenue leakage. We used to do certification work. Pata hi nahi tha kya kar rahe hain. Is it true currently within your organization also? So then you need to change. We अपने पूरे गांव को अपन advice देते controls का, systems का. Please put it. What we did in our offices, billing will happen only through one person, or even the certificates what will move out will happen through one person. So automatically there's control on those things. So you need to control. How many of you charge out-of-pocket expenses for Hyderabad-based clients? Very few. We as a firm, till about 15-20 years back, never used to charge OP for Mumbai-based clients. Mumbai is huge. Suppose somebody is in Andheri, somebody is Navi Mumbai, somebody is Borivali, somebody is Mira Road, Bhayandar, somebody is somewhere. It's a huge this thing, and we never used to charge. Then I started working on this, and we started charging. Maybe it is small percentage, but as it in Gujarati there is a kahawat, "Tipe tipe sarovar bhara hai." Drop drops makes an ocean. So you have to. So even if it is Hyderabad also is used now, it's no longer one suburb where you render or your clients will be spread all across. So please charge OP. Maybe it is small amounts, but start doing that. Do proper client appraisal whether he has the ability and willingness to pay proper and reasonable fees. Quote fees for work only after proper analysis. I gave you one example of ERP where we went wrong. Another example I'll give you just for driving home the point. Reserve Bank of India approached us somewhere 20-25 years back to do the internal audit of the departments in Mumbai, main office, Amar building, and they're all huge. I sent a team of 2 people to do a review. So they spent 2 days there, and what we got a feedback is those days it was not completely online, still a lot of manual records. And the peon, assuming the starting time was 10 o'clock, you will not get the register till 10:30. Your closing time is say 5:36. By 5 o'clock, they start taking the. So your time is in between. There's lunch time, so on and so forth. So based on all the estimated huge volume of work, we gave a quote of 1,25,000 a month. The first time Reserve Bank was doing an internal audit. It went to another mid-sized firm. No, I'm not going to name it, and no ill will against that firm. They proposed a quote of 45,000 a month. I said, we've gone completely wrong somewhere. After 2-3 years, I met the partner who was in charge of that audit at Bhavnagar Airport, and I said, how is that audit going? RBI employee. Nilesh, I'm pulling my hair. I said, sir, what happened? Well, the problem was they completely underestimated the work involved. And they quoted 45,000. And I think in our greed, in our increased volume, we keep on doing that amongst our profession. We try to be smarter than thou, we undercut. Please don't do that. It is cutting the whole profession only. So please do proper analysis, and tell you that particular firm which we competed and we lost, we took a decision that wherever we find their name after a couple of incidences, we are not going to even send a proposal if their name is there. Why waste time? There's good enough time to do a lot of good things. Where you know that few firms are there, one firm is always going to quote low, oh, matlab hi nahi usme karne ka. And that firm was known, notorious for their low balling. We call it low balling. Underarm bowling करते हैं किसको out करते हैं. Systemize your work procedures in writing. That will help you. I'll give again my own example. Forget why I talk about this. I used to reading the audits in my firm earlier when I was doing work. I'm no longer doing any work now. So audit में क्या होता था? People used to come with the balance sheet P&L with the client, and I used to review, and I had to find 100 mistakes. इसमें ये गलत है, ये गलत है, ये गलत है. If I look back in retrospect, what are the type of mistakes? And 90% were routine. Say there is a quantity tally in the notes to account, opening stock plus production minus is not equaling to the closing stock. Or there is sales figure in the notes not matching with the sales in the P&L. Routine type of thing, but I used to get a kick. I'm saying delegation. So I could have systemized that. I could have prepared a list and said, ये पहले से check करके लेके आओ. So their time and my time reduced. But you will find out whatever work you are doing, 90% of your critique will be similar. So उसको document कर लो. Ask your people to, so we need to systemize our procedure in writing. Do you have clients dropping into your office at odd times without appointment? We used to have that. We were in Fort. I don't know how many have been to Mumbai. And that time stock exchange was physical. Abhi demat abhi ho gaya. So the stock exchange, the assembly was near Nariman Point, the Maharaj. So income tax was in Churchgate. So people used to come, and I'm busy with some work. So next day there's an appeal. And suddenly a client will come, and I have to offer him a cup of tea, spend time. Inside I'm boiling. And वो appeal का तैयारी करने का है. And this ये बंदा जाएगा, and without an appointment. So you need to be strategic. So you have to show your importance. In the sense, suppose client आ भी गया, there's no choice. You invite him, offer him a tea, and then you just get out of your chair. Sir, I've got to go to GST or income tax or wherever. So next time when he comes, he knows prepared that don't make yourself available always. Be smart. When a client comes unannounced, offer him whatever courtesy you have to offer him, but within 5-10 minutes, get up from the chair. I got an appointment with another client or income tax or GST or wherever your job ka common hai, and step out of this so that he knows that you are not available 24/7. He has to call up. So you have to discipline him. You need to educate him. So have those systems. When you're in the department also, if you are whiling away your time, please take carry work there. Today, everything you can do, of course, we are doing. Very important. How many of you are doing some physical exercise or whatever? I'm seeing less than 50%, around 50%. See, this is a plant and machinery. I have seen people, I have myself suffered a slip disc at the age of 35, 1999. And I don't know how many months, I had to recover slowly. So unless you're going to keep this in good shape, your earning ability will go out the moment something happens to you. So this has to be, whatever may be the pressure, except maybe few days at say 31st July, last 3-4 days last 3-4 days only, not the whole month of July. Or 30th September, maybe few days of last week. Otherwise, your physical regime has to be there. Walking, yoga, gymming, swimming, whatever you're doing, please do that, this thing. And of course, I would recommend meditation also if you can. I follow Vipassana meditation. In case you're doing non-audit work, non-tax, please take advance in writing. Say you're doing advisory work, consulting work. Minimum, only then the skin of the client will be in the game. Otherwise, so free advice लेते रहेगा आपसे. Send a quote, say it is 1 lakh rupees, take 25,000 in advance. Then the client will be, otherwise the client will not be serious. Your office has to be top class. And don't have to, assuming you're successful in practice, if you're not getting articles or staff or whatever, it has to be state of the art, because that is what is available outside in the world. Especially in Hyderabad, where there are beautiful, offices of the software and all. So your offices have to be top class. There is no, for human talent attraction, there's no choice. You have to invest. See, what has happened, I've seen, by and large, I've seen maximum people in our profession, they know only to take out money from the practice. Never invest. You need to invest. And I'll give again our own firm example. 2012, we shifted to a very, very swanky office, and the 3 senior partners, family partners, we took a huge cut in our take home. So that was the investment we are making. Our earlier office also was very good, but the challenge was the public toilet. So the foreign clients coming up, we could not take them to our washroom also. So that is basic. See, any foreigner coming, I'm saying a European or a American, those are the basic things. They are not, for us it may be a luxury, a good toilet or this thing. So, and even for the youngsters, I think I'm saying the office has to be good. So it has to be good. जिसके भी non-descript or rundown office है, please change it ASAP.
Post-COVID, how much is worth spending in infrastructure in New York? Post-COVID era.
No, there's no question of COVID or non-COVID, Pankaj bhai. See, question is, office has to be good. Whether you got 500 square feet, 5,000, 50,000, it cannot be run down, non-descript, it has to be good quality. Human talent, जो भी client रहता है, भले वो साल में एक time आएगा, he'll be impressed with your office. It has to be top class. See, that is what are you selling apart from your service, which is not visible, is your infrastructure. So I'm not on the quantum how much it should be, but it has to be there. You're going to office, whether post-COVID you're going to office, it has to be good. That's the end of it. If you're not going to office, work from home, फिर ठीक है. If you're going to office, it has to be top class. Quantum 500, 5,000, 50,000, and I'll tell you, you need to plan in advance. In 80 years of practice, we are always struggling for good title in Mumbai. When we acquired this office in 2007, we booked it, and we moved in 2012. We booked twice the area which we required. And today, the situation is, we are now, of course, the one which with the additional office which we had rented out, we are not taking it back with a very marquee relationship, so we are not taking it back. We acquired another half a floor on lease, and when we took this, the utilization in the office was hardly 50-60%. So unless you invest, you will have to sacrifice for a few years for the investment. It may not pay back. See, all of you are investing in equity shares. How many of you? Most of you. So you invest, you cannot time it. When assuming the companies are good, you can never time it. The capital gains will come only after 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, depending on when that stock gets noticed by the larger fraternity. So same way for infrastructure. So And word of mouth it will spread. For, I would say for people attraction, for clients, अच्छा होना ही चाहिए. नॉन डिस्क्रिप्ट नहीं चलेगा. पूरा वो जाले लगे हुए हैं, फाइल्स पड़ी हुई हैं, एकदम वो ब्राउन कलर का जो क्या बोलते हैं गवर्नमेंट ऑफिस. टुडे गवर्नमेंट ऑफिस आर बिकमिंग वेरी स्वैंकी नाउ. फॉरगेट it has to be good. So there's no two ways about it. Technology, of course, we have to use technology for our own office. This thing. Again, I'll give an example of COVID. This since you mentioned before COVID, on 18th March, we went into voluntary shutdown. We were very confident because we had already adopted Microsoft Teams. A client in Ahmedabad, my team working in Ahmedabad, my partner used to work parallelly on Teams with them on various matters. Now, of course, Microsoft Teams is very common after 2 years of COVID. So technology has to be there, for improving our productivity. We need to make product of services, challenge we are always service oriented. So company formation or whatever we're doing, how do we make product of services? SOPs. How many of you have to lump sum fee for clients? कि मेरे को ये एक बोल दो सब ऑडिट टैक्स जीएसटी सब मिला 50,000 लाख 2 लाख 5 लाख जो भी most of us that is the biggest trap. Let me tell you, even if you are going to that, please specify what will cover. I had got a client where it was a lump sum, only one client having lump sum fees. One day a ED matter came up. That was an exporter and they got a notice. They had a London branch which they closed down, and since the brother shifted to London, a separate private company was formed and they were then dealing with the private company instead of the branch. And this branch, they had initially sent 500 pounds for the setup as per those days, FEMA, FERA, whatever it was. And when you do a closure, of course, all the profits were repatriated. Year on year, huge profits, they were repatriated. Last में जब closure हुआ, तो वो, because you have to pay the liabilities to the auditors and all, so those were not paid back. So ED notice came, the client was wild. He said, I've gotten these are 90s, I brought so much money, foreign exchange for the country. How can they initiate this proceeding for 500 pounds or 1,000 pounds or whatever it may be. And he said, I don't want to pay a farthing or by way of corruption to this person. I'm very confident. Then the matter went, he lost at the officer level. It went to the appellate. It's called a different appellate, not, it works in the income tax office. They come sporadically to Bombay and they do. In the first hearing, within few seconds, the matter was disposed of in favor of the client. And I had toiled, I had built up so many years. This is the export, this is the surplus from the branch we received, this, that, worked, replied to the ED, replied to the, prepared for the appeal, interacted with the lawyer. Fees, अरे ये तो उसके अंदर आ गया, जो भी lump sum fees. So be very careful, even if you, ideally no lump sum fees, but by chance it is there, please specify what will cover. We discussed this, I'll not. This is very important. I'll just spend some time, then we'll rush off. It's protect your intangibles. What are intangibles? Human capital. So human resources we need to, existing good clients you need to retain. If you have huge volume, you may not focus on the top clients, you may focus on the smaller clients. So be careful. Client satisfaction very important. Knowledge and skills you need to increase. Health we discussed, happiness, professional networks, enhancing the documentation very important. Succession planning. So these are the critical points which you need to work on. This I think we can see later on. I'll not. These are the traditional areas. These are the emerging. People say, "Kya karenge hum, practice mein?" If the traditional area is, so you can look at insolvency, you can look at valuation, you can look at technology related. We discussed forensic. In my view, Sharan was there. Huge, scope there. ESG is another emerging area which is coming up now. How many of you are aware of the ESG practice? Couple of them, huh? Covered it, then I will not cover it. Again, I would say if you are 4 or 5 people, please specialize. If you come together, you can be jack of all, but at least you have to be master of one. These all are, what could be problems of specialization. You can read this later on. Then networking, merger, demerger, I'm not going to speak on. This you can do. Technology, how to upgrade. These are some of the tools which CA firms use. So, what are the qualities you need to see for a successor in your firm? So, what does the future hold for us? So traditional practice losing its relevance. There's a mismatch in demand and supply leading to increase of staff cost. Practice becoming less attractive for newcomers. Automation making accountants irrelevant. And knowledge being freely available, role of CA is getting changed. Do we agree with this? Not completely. Partially. But there's a way forward, sir. With my experience, I can say this is the way. See, I have been at the helm of the profession and I can see this happening. If not now, it may hit slightly later in Hyderabad. I can see it happening across the world.
So whenever a client comes after Googling, we will tell them if you still want an advice after Googling, you pay double. Because I have to undo what Google has done and then I have to plant a fresh new idea into it.
Absolutely. So what are the asset management for our growth? We need skills, we need talents, we need knowledge, ability, client reputation, relations and reputation. These are the assets which any CA firm does. So how is the practice changing? From compliance, we need to get into consulting. From value protection of clients, we need to value creation for clients. From being a service provider to client, we need to be solution provider. And from size, we need to be positioned. You should be positioned properly if you want to grow. So this is, friends, broadly, I think what I wanted to cover. We'll continue. Umesh, I think it just moved out. We can call him, or maybe, I don't know, whether it's time for tea break or so quick, kitna, 10 minutes tea break, and then we'll, friends, assemble again. To continue the session, we'll have some live panel discussion and again polls and see how do we take it forward. Thank you.
Please join within 10 minutes, please. We'll continue the session.
CA Mitresh Sai, large practice members category. Mitresh ji, welcome, sir. Under large practice senior members category, I call upon CA Murali Krishna Chaudhary sir and CA MR Vikram sir, both of the senior members, to come on to dais, please. Thank you, all of you. Umesh ji, I request you to take forward the session, please.
Excuse me, PPT. So, we are back for the panel discussion after the detailed analysis by Nilesh Vikamse sir on the practice management strategy. We have esteemed